Jewish Fairy Tales and Legends by Gertrude Lander. From Shepherd Boy to King. On a desolate plain, a little shepherd boy stood alone. His day's work was over, and he had wandered through field and forest, listening to the twittering of the birds and the soft sound of the summer breezes as they gently swayed the branches of the trees. He seemed to understand what the birds were saying, and the murmuring of the brook that wound its way through the forest was like a message of nature. Sweet sounds were always in his ears. His heart was ever singing, for the shepherd boy was a poet. At times he would turn around sharply, thinking he had heard someone calling. One day he was quite startled. "David, David," he thought he heard a voice calling. "Thou shalt be king of Israel." But he could see nothing except the trees and the flowers, and so he left the forest and stood in the desolate plain. In the distance he saw a very high hill, and as he approached nearer, he noticed on the summit a tall tree, without branches or leaves. With great difficulty he climbed the hill. It was quite smooth, bare of vegetation, and without rocks, and little David noticed that it gave forth none of those sweet sounds like music that came from other hills. The summit gained, he looked at the tree in wonderment. It was not of wood, but of horn. "'Tis strange," said the boy. "This must be a magic mountain. No tree or flower or shrub can grow in this barren earth." He tried to dig a clod of earth out of the ground, but could not do so, even with his knife, for the ground was as hard as if covered with tough hide. David was greatly puzzled, but, being a boy of courage, he did not begin to run down the mountain. "I wonder what will happen if I stay here," he said, and he seated himself at the foot of the mysterious horn that grew at the summit, and looked about him. Then he noticed a most peculiar thing. The ground was rising and falling in places, as if moved by some power beneath. Listening intently, he also heard a curious rumbling noise, and then a loud-sounding swish. At the same time, he saw something rising from the other end of the mountain and whirl through the air. "That is just like a tail!" exclaimed David in surprise. The next minute he had to cling with all his might to the horn, for the whole mountain was moving. It was rising, and soon David was quite near the clouds. The earth was a great distance away.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?